Last Sunday, we hit 10,000 subscribers! Woo! Thank you guys so much for your support, and I can't wait to continue making videos for all of you. So to me, this recipe is mostly about how to make empanada dough and how simple it is to make, because essentially you can fill your empanadas with anything. I mean, people even put raisins in them. Welcome back to this channel where you learn how to make Filipino food with easily accessible ingredients. And for the record, I have learned to like raisins in my empanadas. And that said, make sure to check the description for some goodies, make sure to subscribe, and let's get on with the recipe. So we're gonna make the empanada dough first. And the two most important things you need to know when making empanada dough is, one, you need to keep it cold so that it's flaky after it bakes, and two, don't overwork your dough. If this means constantly refrigerating your dough while you're wrapping and working on your empanadas, then so be it. In a large food processor, add 3 cups of all-purpose flour. You can mix this by hand too, but a food processor makes it so much easier. Next, add half a teaspoon of salt, followed by 1 teaspoon of sugar. Mix these all up, and then add 1 cold egg. Mix this thoroughly, and then add half of a cup of frozen butter that's been cubed up. If you don't have a food processor, crumble the butter and flour mixture between your fingers until all the butter has been crumbled up into the dough. Afterwards, slowly add between 1/4 to 1/2 cup of cold water. Add just enough water until the dough comes together. You don't want this dough to be too wet. Once that's done, take out a large piece of plastic wrap and dump out your dough. Now flatten out your dough. Don't be kneading it or anything. You don't want to overwork the dough. Just flatten it out. Cover it with plastic wrap and stick it in the fridge so it can chill. Now we're going to work on the filling. There's so many ways you can possibly season your empanada filling, but I wanted to keep it simple to maybe what a basic Filipino pantry would have. But more importantly, what my pantry or what your pantry has. First, heat up a tablespoon of oil in a large pan over medium heat. Add 4 cloves of minced garlic, followed by half of a large onion, chopped. Sauté these until the onions are a bit translucent. Next, add 1 small carrot, diced, or half of a cup of carrots. Sauté this for about 5 to 10 minutes or until the carrots soften up. I'm not adding potatoes in mine because I didn't have any, but if you want to add potatoes, now would be the time. Also, I wanted to add some raisins in mine, but I don't want to freak anyone out. Add 1 pound of ground beef and break it up as much as you can in this pan. We're going to cook this until it's fully browned. Next, add 1 tablespoon of fish sauce. Trust me, do it. It adds a dynamic umami taste that you just can't get with salt. After that, toss in 1 tablespoon of sugar, a teaspoon or so of salt to taste, and freshly ground black pepper to taste. Add about half a can of tomato paste or 6 tablespoons. I'm using tomato paste so there's less liquid in this filling, which will make the empanadas so much easier to seal. Mix this all up to integrate the tomato paste into the ingredients and then taste it. Add more salt and pepper if you need it. Then add half a cup of cooked peas and stir this up. I called my grandma and she said to add eggs, so I'm adding eggs. Add 3 hard-boiled eggs, chopped. Just stir this into the mixture and then you're done with the filling. Remove the pan from the heat and allow it to cool down completely before wrapping your empanadas. Once the dough has chilled, take it out and then we're going to flatten it out. This is easiest done with a rolling pin, but if you don't have one, you can use a glass bottle of wine, bottle of beer, bottle of kombucha, whatever you have. If the dough gets a bit sticky, sprinkle some flour over your work surface and on the dough so it doesn't stick to your rolling pin or whatever bottle you're using. When you're rolling it out, you don't want it to be too thin because you want some space for the dough to stretch over your filling without breaking. Here's a quick peek at the thickness that I rolled it out to. Anyway, use a large bowl or a large cutter to cut out your empanada wrappers. I used to use a bowl until I finally got these cutters. This wrapper makes empanadas that fit nicely in my hand, and they're pretty small. Use a bigger cutter or bowl depending on how large you want your empanadas to be. These leftover pieces of dough can be rolled out just one more time, so I'll do that after. Now it's time to fill our empanada doughs. Put in less than you think it can fit because it'll be a lot easier for you to wrap. And it gets really frustrating to seal when you overfill it. Fold the dough over and pinch the dough closed. Since I made the dough a bit thicker, it won't tear as easily while I'm doing this. Then you can pleat the sides with your fingers, or you can use a fork to make the cute little marks on the empanada. Ta-da! There's your baby empanada! Place these on a parchment paper-lined baking tray. Now you just repeat the same process with the rest of the wrappers. This might take you a while, so stick the other wrappers and the finished empanadas in the fridge while you're working on the rest. Here's the leftover pieces of dough. I'll roll it out one more time and get as many as I can out of it. In total, I got 20 empanada wrappers out of this whole batch. Fill these up. Afterwards, let the empanadas chill in the fridge for about 30 minutes. You're gonna have a ton of meat left over, which you can eat with rice, noodles, or alongside your baked empanadas. Okay, after the empanadas have chilled, preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Take the empanadas out of the fridge and brush the tops with a beaten egg. If you want the tops to be more orange after they bake, brush the tops with only a beaten egg yolk. Once the oven is preheated, stick the empanadas in the oven and bake for about 20 to 25 minutes or until the tops and edges of the empanadas have browned. And that's it! Man, that was a lot of work to wrap, but it's actually pretty fun to do. And you can tell people that you've made empanadas! Since the filling has less sauce, it was a lot easier to seal and it didn't leak as much. In the past, I've made empanadas with saucier fillings and it was just a tough time. However, the trade-off that you're going to have with a drier filling is that you might want to have your empanadas with some sauce. So you can have it with hot sauce, I dipped mine in vinegar, or you can even make your own chimichurri sauce. Next time, maybe I'll put corned beef sauteed with potatoes and onions in mine. That sounds amazing. Well, that's it. I hope this encourages you guys to make some empanadas at home. You'll get better with each try, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it'll still taste pretty good. So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, check out the description for some goodies. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye!